extremely blessed, and I don't really give myself too much credit in that area. I just think that I've been really, really lucky. I've been long way from here. Put on a poncho, played for mosquitoes, and drank till I was thirsty again. We were searching through thrift store jungles, found Geronimo.
that makes you happy. Sheryl Crow with the song that recently won her a Grammy Award for the Best Female Rock Vocal Performance from her self-titled album, which also, as it happens, won a Grammy for Best Rock Album of the Year. Hi, everybody. Steve Warden here with a special one-on-one profile of Sheryl Crow. We'll have all kinds of music from the massive Tuesday Night Music Club release and the new album, plus some special stuff, such as her live collaboration with Eric Clapton and a taste of an acoustic number she cut right here in our studios. In between the music, conversation with Sheryl on a range of subjects, including success and all aspects of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the Walmart controversy, working with Clapton and Pavarotti, and of course, her latest album. We'll be right back with Sheryl Crow right after this.
You're right, 'cause we haven't done that radio-wise in a long time.
No, Ben.
She was born in November 1963, the day Aldous Huxley died. And her mama believed that every man could be free, so her mama got high. And her daddy marched on Birmingham, singing mighty protest songs, pictured all the places he knew that she belonged. He failed and taught her young the only thing she needed to know to carry on. He taught her how to run, baby, run, baby, run, baby, run, baby, run.
Welcome back to One-on-One with Sheryl Crow. I'm Steve Warden, and that's some of a special acoustic version of Run Baby Run that Sheryl recorded in our studios a while back. Later on, we'll play an entirely different version of that tune with Eric Clapton on it. Sheryl Crow is sort of everywhere these days. Turn on the radio, you'll hear her songs. She's always picking up hardware at various award shows, cavorting in music videos and on late-night TV talk shows, performing in concert. Face it, the woman's high profile. But obviously it wasn't always this way. Before Tuesday Night Music Club exploded and made her a star, Sheryl Crow was paying her dues.
Well, my story actually started about 12 years ago, and I moved to LA and had bands all that time, and thought that if I moved to LA that perhaps it'd be easier to get a record deal than being in Missouri. And actually at that time, record labels weren't going to these small meccas like Seattle and Austin and all these different places. It seemed to me logical to go to Los Angeles. And it took a long time for me to get a record deal with what I do, because I was sort of downed as Blue-Eyed Soul, and it just really wasn't happening at that time. Kind of what was going on for women was like dance music, Madonna, Paula Abdul, stuff like that. And I eventually did get a record deal, and after, I guess, seven or 8 years of kicking around, which doesn't really seem like that long, you know, but when people are talking about an overnight success, it seems pretty long to me, you know. But as far as the way I made my first record, that was really a conscious decision, you know, to have it feel the way it felt, and it was very inspired by some initial jam sessions, and I was very conscious about the way I had chosen to make that record. So as far as the events that led up to that, you know, I think part of it was sort of the law of chaos, and some of it was being where I was supposed to be when I was there, you know.
But you obviously wanted to get to this point. You wanted to have a record deal and write your own songs and make records. At the same time, you say, you know, I'm not that interested in the business, but is there a little bit of having to work it in a way to get to that point, or was it just fate, do you think?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I consciously was working every angle. I think more than that, I was persevering. You know, you every day experience rejection, which is really tough if you have this pre-existing condition of being sensitive and of writing about it, you know. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you're supposed to be tough-skinned and not take things personally. And while it's really good training ground to be rejected every day of your life, I think the main part of it, what makes some people make it eventually in the end, is just persevering and not giving up, and certainly that was true for me.
And then the fact that the industry in many ways is a boys' club, and you know all these guys that you're working with, which became the Tuesday Night Music Club, were guys. I mean, do you think that contributed in any way to you helping to carve out your own voice and your own style, that you were a woman in a group of men?
No, actually, I don't think it did at all. In fact, I think the thing that was really nice about that experience of having worked initially with those guys was that it made me it made me defend myself more than defining myself. It made me defend myself, and I think that's probably good for a woman or good for anybody to sort of commit to who you are and to strengthening yourself and being able to really stick to your guns. But I don't think that really led to the success of my record. I think most people didn't even know who those guys were, and basically still don't know who they are. But as a kid, there was no male and female really in music for me. It wasn't like MTV. You didn't have all of this information, all of these images, and it was all about sort of the black and white pictures in Rolling Stone and Cream magazine. Not to date myself, but really that's where I got my image of what being a musician and being in rock and roll was. These black and white pictures of Bob Dylan and Cream and Joan Baez and Janis Joplin, and that's why I got into it. I didn't get into it because I thought, well, I'd really like to be famous, or I'd like to be run my own business and all that stuff. It was really about the altruistic side of music.
Was there any one person that you wanted to emulate as a songwriter? Was there somebody who you had heard and said, boy, if I could write songs like that?
Yeah, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, definitely. With a little Bob Dylan thrown in there.
Old James Dean Monroe hands out flowers at the shop and go. Hopes for money, but all he gets is fear. And the wind blows up his coat. This he scribbles on a perfume note. If I'm not here, then you're not here. And he says, call me miscreation. I'm a walking celebration. It's hard to make a stand. And it's hard to make a stand. Yeah, it's hard to make a stand. My friend Lord went to take care of her own body. She got shot down in the road. She looked up before she went, said, this isn't really what I meant. And the Daily News said, two with one stone. And I said, hey there, miscreation. Bring a flower, time is wasting. It's hard to make a stand. And it's hard to make a stand. It's hard to make a stand. It's hard to make a stand. Yes, it is. We got loud guitars and big suspicions, big guns and small ambition. We still argue over who is God. And I say, hey there, miscreation. Bring a flower, time is wasting. I say, hey there, miscreation. We all need a celebration. It's hard to make a stand. And it's hard to make a stand. Oh, it's hard to make a stand. Yeah, it's hard to make a stand. Oh, I think it's hard to make a stand.
What have you learned about songwriting, and what did the whole collaborative process of the Tuesday Night Music Club do for you as a songwriter? I mean, now on the new record, there's a couple of songs that you wrote by yourself, and then other collaborations. But working with all those different people, and I know it was it seems like kind of a weird project in terms of credits on songs. There were an awful lot of people, and so maybe there were bits and pieces and jams and stuff like that. But as far as a songwriter and then finding your own voice, what do you think you learned through all of that?
Well, I had signed a publishing deal 10 years ago, and I've been writing songs for a really long time. I had songs cut by other people, and most of the time I actually do write by myself. Most of the songs I've had cut by other people I wrote by myself. And that experience of making the record with people around was exactly kind of what the doctor ordered at the time, because I had had so many sort of strange, unnurturing experiences as a songwriter in LA that this group of people sort of fell in together. And in a sick way, our camaraderie was kind of based on having been overlooked by the music industry and a certain elitist attitude. And in the end, it didn't prove to be so healthy. I think most people became really, really bitter because once my record became successful, then I sort of became the enemy, just as if they had always been sort of overlooked. But as far as the songwriting goes, it wasn't so sort of, it wasn't a departure for me to write with other people, because as a staff songwriter for a publishing company, that's what you do. You write on your own, you write with different people. Songwriting sort of happens all different ways. And although a lot of the Tuesday Night Music Club record wasn't collaborative, and a lot of people were credited on stuff that they were merely kind of just hanging around for, I think, overall it was a pretty good experience.
Did you find it a little bit ironic that it became so successful? What came out of, working with a bunch of people who, as you say, had been overlooked, and there was probably an element of bitterness there and maybe some cynicism?
Well, it was an interesting time because a couple of these guys had records out that I loved. I loved David Barrowald's Triage record, and I loved the Toy Matinee record, which was really overlooked, and even the Wire Train record, which a couple of the guys in the group have been part of Wire Train. Their new record, I kind of became sort of a spokesperson for these records as I went out and did my own press, and I was, encouraging people to check out this record and check out that record. And but in the end, there's not enough you can do for people who already are, have sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And unfortunately, in the end, a lot of these guys that I had been good friends with, their careers sort of fell apart, not because of me, but just because it was headed that way, and those records that I had been screaming about didn't do anything. And for a lot of reasons. David's record was a highly political record, and people just they were coming out of the Bush administration really ready to take off all the old negativity, and they were excited about Clinton, and they didn't want to hear a record that was very political in nature, and so it was sorely overlooked. And eventually he lost his record deal and became extremely bitter and lashed out at me, so... but it's all part of it. Nobody is without these stories in the music business, and it's part of, it's just part of it.
Do you resent the fact or regret the fact that story has become or that part of the story has become so prominent in the Sheryl Crow story, and all of the acrimony that came out of the Tuesday Night Music Club? And, personally, I'm a huge fan of Barrowald and David, and had him on our show when Triage came out. But it seems, like that whole thing produced a lot of bitter. I mean, does that bug you? Is that too bad in a way that, you've had success, but this thing sort of hangs around like a black cloud?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly it's made me a completely different person. And I find that the joy I get from songwriting now is a personal thing, and I don't share it with very many people. And there are days when I don't want to do what I'm doing anymore. There are days when I pick up an article and I'm completely demoralized by it all, but it's life. It's not exclusive to the music business. There are people who move up in companies and who lose friends and so on and so forth, and it's not, I'm not the only person on the planet who is suffering from having relationships fall apart that you cared about. And my relationships with this group of people, all of them are not bad. They're just a couple of people that wound up becoming very unhappy with what was happening in their own life. I mean, let's face it, the people that were involved on that record made tons of money, and they got tons of credit. And in the end, you can't win with people who are unhappy anyway. So that's the story. I am sick of seeing it in the press. I'm sick of talking about it. And but, it's part of it.
This ain't no disco. It ain't no country club either. This is LA. All I wanna do is have a little
Sheryl Crow, and from Tuesday Night Music Club, All I Want to Do, the song that broke her career wide open just a little over 3 years ago. We also heard in there Hard to Make a Stand from the Sheryl Crow album. And when we come back, music from and comments about that new album next. In the program, Sheryl discussed the unfortunate strain that developed with some of her Tuesday Night Music Club collaborators after that album became a big success. I asked her if she fed off that negativity or was influenced by it when she was writing songs for the new album.
I think you bring into a record who you are, if you're being really honest, and I think you pretty much are, recording a page in a journal or taking a snapshot of who you are when you're recording, and that's, I think it's all there on this record. As far as how I was feeling and what my perceptions of things were, and although I don't think it's a down record, I don't think it's sad, I don't even think it's overly cynical. I think it's, it's pretty up in its feel, but the feeling of rawness is certainly there.
I've never been there.
started to make the record, did you begin in Los Angeles and then move to New Orleans? How did that work?
No, pretty much the whole record was based in New Orleans, and then we did some finish-up stuff in L.A. at the Sound Factory. And I recorded Redemption Day and Ordinary Morning in L.A.
And what happened with Bill Bottrell started out on the record, and did he actually go to New Orleans?
Yeah, he did. He came down, and a day later he left. I'm sure there was a lot that factored into that, and Bill has left every project he's ever worked on, so, and usually sort of the ritual of it goes is that he leaves like in the middle of a project, and then you beg him to come back, and then he comes back, and that's kind of, I think, where he derives his feeling of being needed or whatever. But after he left, I felt like, wow, maybe this is an omen. Maybe it's time to do it on my own. And I didn't ask him to come back or whatever. And there was no sort of like dramatic I'm leaving or anything. I think, and he just left. I think he kind of wasn't in the mood to make a record, and there was too much going on in his life. I really don't know. It's never come up. So, and I've seen him since then, and we've talked about how great our writing relationship is, but the production thing never came up. So
there you were a day into it in New Orleans, and you had to make the decision about how to proceed, or was it just automatic, well, I'll just do it myself?
Well, it wasn't automatic. I mean, it's kind of an overwhelming feeling when you're sort of looking at the possibilities that you have in making a record, and there you're standing sort of without any clothes on, and I called up my manager and said, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. It's morning and Bill's gone. And he said, well, you just walk down the stairs and you make your record. And that's kind of what I did. And I was really lucky to work with this female engineer who happened to be available at the time. So it just kind of worked out beautifully.
Wasn't she a friend of the woman who runs Kingsway? Runs the house, sort of, and that how she got involved?
No, actually, she was the house engineer there for a very long time. She had worked under Daniel Lanois, who owns that studio, and Malcolm Byrne. Very capable, the most musical engineer I've ever worked with. And yes, she's certainly friends with the woman that runs the place, but that's not how she got the gig.
Now, once you got into it, and you look back on it now, was it a more enjoyable experience than making Tuesday Night Music Club, and more fulfilling in a way?
Mm-hmm. Well, when making the Tuesday Night Music Club, certainly there was a lot of pushing and pulling, and my relationship with Bill was always that of kind of a love-hate relationship, and that he was kind of a frustrated artist, and he would leave and not come back, and he did that all through the Triage record and stuff. And I think this record, for me, making the Sheryl Crow record, was just sort of more about hunkering down and and fulfilling a vision. There was no sort of ego, there was no sexual tension, and it was much more easygoing than my last record. And yeah, probably for me, it was more about making music.
You like being in the studio?
Yeah, I do. It's kind of an exciting process when you close the door and you don't answer the phone, and time kind of stands still for a while. It's nice.
What about the songs on the record? Were they all pretty much ready when you started the record, or were you still writing through the process of recording?
Some were ready, some weren't, and I think once you do close the door and you sort of shut out the outside world, then some of the best stuff comes then. And some of it actually, like Home, was written on mic. So was 3 Days in Rome, the book. So it's if you're open, sometimes that's when the really odd stuff comes through.
I was actually going to ask you about the song Home. I like that one a lot. What was the story behind that? How did that come about, or what triggered it?
I don't really know. It's weird when you start talking about your lyrics, because that one in particular, obviously I'm not married. I didn't get married when I was 17, and I don't look back on my life and feel like, what if I'd gone down one road instead of another. But I do think that that's kind of a universal feeling, and maybe it's maybe it's premonition. You never know. But I think most people probably have experienced that tinge of regret, or of wondering what it would have been like to have made one decision instead of another. Where it came from, I don't know. It was one of those songs that sort of was recorded in about 20 minutes, and I was playing bass and singing, and kind of listened back to it and went, wow, okay, there it is. So
I woke head is full of voices, and my house is full of lies. This is home.
Sheryl Crow's self-titled album, that's Home. Also in that segment, Every Day is a Winding Road. When we come back, Sheryl sings with Luciano Pavarotti and Eric Clapton.
Verso
it or not, that's Sheryl Crow singing Mozart with Luciano Pavarotti. It happened last summer at Pavarotti's charity concert in Italy for Bosnian children. Now, you'd think singing opera with an opera legend would be quite difficult for a rock and roll singer, but according to Sheryl, it was just fun.
Well, it probably is difficult to do if you're supposed to be doing it really well. So I was kind of off the hook because I think most people didn't expect any of us to be able to sing opera. And it was fun, you know. It's so rare that you get to sort of walk into somebody else's arena and experiment a little. And he is such a great sport about trying to sing the odd rock tune or the odd show tune. And, you know, without pretense and with sheer abandonment. And it was fun. It was fun to watch him in action, particularly singing like New York, New York with Liza Minnelli and Holy Mother with Eric. And overall, the experience was really spectacular. And not only that, the surroundings of being in Modena, surrounded by all this beauty and these lovely sort of warm people, was it just made for a really great time.
What was also apparently a really great time for Sheryl Crow at that same War Child benefit was doing her own song Run Baby Run with Eric Clapton backing her on guitar.
Well, that song, we did Run Baby Run, and that song actually is, well, as he says, it's right up his strasse, right up his street. You know, it just seems like it was practically written for him, and also every once in a while I would have like a moment of reality where I would realize that Eric Clapton was standing behind me playing one of my songs, and that is very overwhelming. I just wanted to turn around and sing it like facing the band. Forget the audience. It was really fun.
She was born in November 1963, the day Aldous Huxley died. And her mama believed that every man could be free. So her mama got high, and her daddy marched on Birmingham, singing mighty protest songs, and he pictured all the places he knew that she belonged. He failed and
Recorded live in Modena, Italy for Luciano Pavarotti's latest War Child benefit album. That was Sheryl Crow doing Run Baby Run with some help on guitar from her friend Eric Clapton. Not a bad pairing. Musically speaking, of course. Anyway, we'll take our last break here and then come back to finish up the program. Sheryl tackles the Walmart controversy, and we'll play Love is a Good Thing, the song that instigated that controversy, next. What's your take on the Walmart controversy over Love is a Good Thing and that issue? And then since then, there have been other stuff that's come out about people, dropping songs and changing artwork and, changing lyrics. What do you think about the whole thing?
Well, in some ways, I think it's the whole thing is very evil. I was reading about how John Mellencamp had just changed the cover of his album, and I hate to see people do that because I don't think Picasso or anybody else would have gone and changed his artwork to ensure that it was hanging in a museum or whatever. And I think Walmart is exercising a very strange commercial censorship in that a lot of people in America buy their records at Walmart because Walmart comes into small communities and puts out the small record store as well as other businesses, and they really have artists over a barrel. I know for me in my situation, because I wrote a lyric stating that Walmart sells guns and that guns in their situation have been used in wrongful deaths, they decided not to carry the record. And the thing about it is that it's not like I was writing a lie. I actually was telling the truth, and they chose not to carry the record because of something that was truthful, although they didn't choose to take the high road by any stretch of the imagination. And I think, while that's maybe 1 million records in sales that I'll lose, there are artists who are being forced to change their artwork and their lyrics to have those album sales, and I think it's really sick and manipulative. And I think that, if in a perfect world, I think people should make the effort to go buy records in a different store, different outlet.
What's your plan for the next year? You're going to be spending a lot of time on the road?
I think I'm going to be starting back and probably will tour most of next year. And then after that, I don't know.
Think about another record, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know.
That's a ways off.
Where I'm at, yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Watch our sister, watch our brother, watch our children while they kill each other with a gun they bought at Walmart discount stores. Welcome to the hallway, metal detector just been installed. Hey, isn't cops and robbers getting to be a big boy? Mary, Mary, Quake and Terry, close your door now, it's much too scary, and you might see some you wish you hadn't seen. Out of sight, out of time, out of patience, and I'm out of my mind.
with Sheryl Crow on the RRN.
Brought to you by Music World. It's everything you want to hear. And in part by Molson Canadian. Check out the IM online hockey pool at www.molson.com/Canadian. Draft your team and compete against the world.
Program written and produced by Steve Warden and Gary Whidden. Station relations, production assistance, and satellite facilities coordinated by Bruce Henney. Provided by AudioNet. For the RRN, I'm Danny Elwell. Thanks for listening.